My name is Jackie.
Brilliant.
And I was a community mental health nurse working with deaf adults within the community team. And now I've moved on to something a little bit different. So the course was 2018.
Brilliant.
One thing that I was really pleased about the course is that it gave me the opportunity to meet people, to actually talk to people, to hear from them, to hear their stories, and share mine, of course. But it was definitely more interesting to hear from others. Because when, I think back to other times, when does that happen? You never had that opportunity. I really wanted to hear everyone's stories. And if it wasn't for the course, I definitely wouldn't have had that opportunity. So it was really important and it was really inspiring. Also, to be able to understand that they had similar challenges as myself. They couldn't sign and I could. So it merely made it, you would have thought it made it difficult to communicate with each other, but no, because of the course, it gave me that opportunity to actually talk with them and also to learn about each other and how we could all progress and how we could put any difficulties to one side.
Yeah, I mean, at the time when you was on the course, apologies, was you working as a CPN? Great.
That's right. Yes, I was. Okay, so for the first one, I'd been on maternity leave for 1 year, and now I'm studying for 1 year. So it means that I haven't been working actually for 2 years. So how I feel now about working is old. I don't know what's been developed within those 2 years. So as I'm explaining, please remember that I haven't worked for 2 years at this point. So when you're talking about cultural competency or non-competency, firstly, for me, what is important is deaf culture. And I'm talking about deaf culture, not talking about ethnicity, background, sorry. So I'm not talking about background or ethnicity.
Got you.
Because this is really important to know. For me as a deaf person, having a conversation with a hearing person, we have similar experiences, but also have very different experiences. So if you're thinking about service provision, for example, with deaf and hearing people, they are not receiving the same level of service at any point. So you can't say, yes, deaf people have the same experience as hearing people. You need to look more closely at that and look at the differences that exist between those two groups, and you will understand the differences because there are clear ones. Really, it's because deaf people, for example, can't hear when they arrive at the door to press the intercom system, for example. They don't have access at that point, at the point of entry. And that's a barrier, an immediate barrier that they're met with. So when hearing people, arrive at a service, they're able to use the intercom and enter into a service. It's a very different experience from the get-go, from the start. So making an appointment, for example, how? It's normally via telephone. So when I say that I think cultural deprivation, I think that's it. Cultural destructiveness, sorry, that's it. Because there's no acknowledgement from the trust level that we provide a service to deaf people, and we need to make sure that we're meeting the need of deaf people all the time. I don't see that. We have deaf advisor who is absolutely incredible. She's really amazing. And we have other hearing services that don't have a deaf advisor. I think it's really important that we do have that. And I recognize that. And, you know, I appreciate that the trust has got that in place. Looking at other trusts, they don't. And I feel that that should continue, most definitely. That's really important. And it's important to compare as well. For example, I've seen so when I'm working in the wards, the WDES. There's a statement to say that we recognise inequality, and we need to do something about it. We need to arrange a solution. We need to make sure that access is equal. I think it's important to say the same thing for deaf people.
I agree.
So they haven't done that yet. So for me, they're not meeting that need yet.
I think there's something to be said about deaf culture, and I think that is something the trust is really missing. So I agree. And just out of interest, again, I'm going off topic slightly here. When before you left, would you describe the trust as cultural destructiveness at the time you left? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Because remember, deaf staff go to training, and you think they can attend training the way hearing staff can? No, because they've got to book interpreters. There's often problems booking interpreters. And I know when I was there last time, I think there was maybe two years minimum that there had been a struggle booking interpreters for training. Wow. So deaf people couldn't attend training courses like hearing people could just book and go. Deaf people couldn't. They had to wait, get the interpreters booked, and they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
They can't also do shifts like other bank staff can. So there's a barrier there as well. So it directly impacts deaf patient services as well.
Absolutely.
Because instead of a deaf person and deaf staff who are able to communicate and understand the person's needs, they have agency staff who don't understand sign language, who don't understand the patient's needs. So where is, the urgency to address that? I haven't seen it at all. Meetings, they've had meeting after meeting after meeting. There's been delays. It makes me very angry, actually. And I said that the last time. When I went off, on maternity leave, and I came back, I felt the problems were still exactly the same. There was no improvement. So it'd be interesting to see what's happening now. I haven't asked, to be honest.
Well, what I will say to that is because I can really resonate with you in a way that's very different, because our cultures are different, is that I'm seeing very minute changes, but the first thing I'm noticing is that we're now having open conversations about it. And it's really uncomfortable, but really important. So whether that's going to lead to a huge change, I don't know. I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that, but I am seeing some sort of movement. I must admit.
And another thing is with deaf staff, they don't understand or recognize their cultural expertise. Mm-hmm. We are, experts, not on paper, not recognized. So, for example, I'm trying to think now, the agenda for changes. Deaf people, it's not listed on that. Their deaf expertise isn't listed on that. And I don't mean that if you're deaf, you should automatically, get a pay rise. No, not at all. But it's more, more complex than that, more in depth than that, because deaf people are all at different levels of understanding and so on, different backgrounds. It would be good to start to unpack that and look at how deaf staff could contribute therapeutically to the therapeutic environment. I think there could be staggering contributions there and massive changes.
Absolutely.
And it's not recognised.
I agree. Yes, thank you very much for sharing that.
Yes, I have.
If yes, I was going to say if yes, what was the outcome? Shortlisted, successful or unsuccessful?
I applied for the Fulbright scholarship.
Okay.
And yes, I was successful with that.
Amazing.
So it means, thank you. So it means I've got this scholarship now to fly over to America to study towards my MSc.
Amazing.
So I'm using this scholarship to help me kind of progress my career. For me, I mean, so far, I wasn't sure how to promote myself, kind of go further within my career, but I knew I wanted to support and look at service improvements, but I wasn't sure how. So from this scholarship, gaining access to this course and, to improve my skills and study more, that gave me an opportunity to go further towards that.
To try and make a difference and making a real change, it sounds like.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, trying. That's my goal.
Trying, indeed. Aren't we all? So,
so I feel like kind of in between, I think.
Okay.
I give some of myself, definitely. And I'm kind of in between giving some of myself and all of myself. I definitely think I'm more able to give more of myself and communicate more clearly about what the problems are and how to resolve them. I feel more able to do that and definitely express myself more. And I find myself being in a more effective way, definitely. Also, I feel more able to actually, people. I'm definitely more confident with people and explaining myself, or to start a conversation, maybe is a better way to say that. So definitely reaching out to start a conversation, I've got more confident with that.
What do you think is the reason why that is?
The course, I think it was really good because they had so many senior people come into the course who said, we want staff to feel empowered, and we want staff, and we want to hear from staff. And they seemed to repeat that a lot and reinforce it all the way through the course. Also, statistically, they were showing us actually that when the diverse workforce actually are listened to, the care improves. So that's why I found it really important for all senior management to listen. And I definitely felt more potential. I definitely felt more able to then start conversations with senior management. And I felt definitely that they would listen more. And I think that's the important thing, listening, but then taking action with that. And that's the part that I need to happen. So it's about being listened to, but also taking action from that.
And why do you not think you quite bring all of yourself yet? Jackie, do you think you can answer that?
Oh, sorry, it was a bit jumpy. Okay, why not? Why don't I give my full self? I don't feel, I don't feel like senior staff members really are open to listening. I think that that's the issue. With my previous experience, I did say that I wanted senior people to I did explain that deaf people have more complexities. It's not that we just need an interpreter. It's more in depth than that. And it's also thinking about how long management have worked in the trust that has deaf staff members, but how many of them have learned to sign, for example? Why do they depend on interpreters? I just think it means that they've shown no effort to learn to communicate directly with their staff that have worked there for many years. I know it's obviously takes time and there's difficulties with that, but for me, I just think it's a shame that thinking about any senior members of staff actually can sign. So it means that looking back for many, many years, they've never actually spoken directly to any of their deaf staff members.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, even to sign good morning, a basic sign like good morning.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Jackie. However, I know you're just telling me your experiences, and I don't want you to think that I'm taking that in a negative way, but I am hearing what you're saying. So thank you very much for sharing that with me.
So for me, I have used the Factor 8 tool.
Wow.
With my mentor way back when I was regularly meeting, and it was really useful actually. But thinking about the factor 8, I haven't used it since then, but I have used the teachings from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's always in my mind, and I can't remember exactly how they're listed or what it said, but I know that I'm conscious of using it. I do bear it in mind.
Apart from the scholarship that you mentioned earlier.
To be honest, I've looked into further courses, yes. Like the MSc I'm doing now, so we'll see what's next. So yeah, I'm looking and keeping my eye out. But it's a little bit difficult because the pathway is not very clear at the moment. It's not fully clear. I suppose similar with other like professional nurses who've done this and gone here and there. I'd like to carry on, but my pathway isn't clear yet. I have reached out to people. I'm asking the right questions. I'm meeting with people, having those conversations. And it's been great, actually, when I have reached out to people and asked them if we can have a talk. They've met with me. So that's really good. I wouldn't have done that prior to the course at all. But now I do. I'm more open to that. I feel more confident doing that, reaching out to people. I want to see a deaf CEO course. I think it's so important because, for example, I did explore opportunities to speak directly with senior management or looking for other courses. It's not so easy just to kind of join in and direct access and direct entry. You almost have to get given a lift, which, you know, it doesn't happen. So I hope you know what I mean, you know, like when you meet people in the elevator, so thinking about, you know, the elevator conversations that can go on.
Yeah.
Thinking about that in a different way, how could you make it so deaf people have access to that? So thinking about deaf staff, if they've got their own CEO course, that would be amazing.
Okay.
And that would definitely help staff think about other ways to develop themselves, but also to develop the service.